Yo, what's up everybody, it's your boy Dice. I'm still coming back from being sick, so forgive me if my voice sounds any different. But anyway, without further ado, let's get it. Today we're talking about the Xenomorphs and engineers, etc. So yeah, this is a Xenomorph drone. Now I'm sure most, if not all of you are familiar with the Xenomorph drone. The standard Xenomorph with the acidic blood, mesoskeleton with biomechanical features, an inner jaw, sharp claws, spear, barbed tip tail, etc. This is actually the big chap Xenomorph, the original Xenomorph drone to ever be seen, although few other Xenomorph drones have been seen resembling the big chap exactly, so maybe it's a rare type. But without further ado, let's continue. It is said that the Xenomorphs are of course an advanced form of bioweaponry. There are multiple theories on the Xenomorphs and where they may have come from and what their purpose truly is. But before I get into some of the theories, let me tell you what the comics state. The current comics state that Xenomorphs play a role in purification of species. Basically, any species or race foolish enough to meddle with the Xenomorphs and to try to either connect themselves with them, upgrading themselves with their DNA, etc., or species who try to weaponize them, they will inevitably be taken out by these beings. These beings keep the universe in check. This is, of course, the warrior xenomorph seen in Aliens, the sequel to Alien. They have a thick mesoskeleton, which is an exoskeletal structure over their bodies, while also being biomechanical beings, living weapons with acidic blood and some of the same features as the other xenomorph variants. Now, the queen, of course, is the largest of the standard xenomorph types. She can stand between 15 and 20 some feet, and of course, she was created as the perfect vessel for the reproduction and life cycle of the xenomorph. The mural in Prometheus dictates that Decon, or Xenomorph variants, may have been worshipped by the engineers. The original Xenomorph, Decon, or Ultramorph-like beings may have had life-giving properties in their DNA. They could have possibly even been intelligent and peaceful, but they were eventually weaponized, leading to the destruction of most of the engineers. Now, of course, the Decon that we saw in Prometheus was the result of a trilobite impregnating an engineer, creating an Ultramorph/Decon-like being, who at birth was already almost as tall as the engineer, if not at the same height, indicating that it would have grown to be as large or possibly even larger than the queen. Aside from that, not much is known about it. Now, of course, the Ultramorph is what happens when a Xenomorph facehugger impregnates an engineer. Now, the Ultramorph can stand anywhere between 14 and 16 to 20 feet. They are extremely tall versions of a Xenomorph variant, very similar to the big chap, but different in some ways anatomically. They are also very, very extremely powerful, extremely fast and agile, and very durable. Now you've got the protomorph or praetomorph, which was an early version and or prototype of the xenomorph created by David using the work of the engineers. Now, the protomorph was so violent and aggressive it would even attack other xeno-related creatures, such as neomorphs and xenomorphs. There are multiple different types of xenomorph variants because the xenomorph DNA is very flexible and it's easily manipulated and used for genetic engineering and genetic manipulation. Now, when David wiped out those engineer-related people and dropped the chemical black goo substance, apparently it affected the fauna and created these spore eggs that when interacted with would release a mist of some kind of artificial intelligence in the form of nanotech or nanoorganisms that would then impregnate a host, creating the neomorph. One of the theories regarding the xenomorphs and their variants is the fact that they used to be an advanced intelligent race that transcended and became biomechanical, basically merging themselves with their technology and losing their intelligence over time, becoming beastly creatures and being used as bioweapons. The average xenomorph drone, or big chap, can stand at around 7 to 8 feet tall. Of course, the mainstream belief is that the engineers created the xenomorphs, but one of the theories goes that the xenomorphs and xenomorph variants such as the ultramorph and decon-like beings were worshipped by the engineers, possibly because they themselves were created by the life-giving properties of the xeno DNA, until, of course, they were turned into bioweapons that inevitably wiped out a good chunk of the engineer civilization, if not all of them. The engineers seeded planets with life and were an intelligent, benevolent species, but there were malevolent members that wanted to erase their creation in the form of humans. They wanted to eradicate all humans, and of course, as we know, xenomorphs would have likely been the method of extermination, as facehuggers would impregnate most of the humans, and then the survivors would be killed off by the resulting xenomorph variants that were born. It is possible that these 10-foot aliens that are said to be stronger than Yelcha could have simply moved on to another universe or another dimension, but they definitely left behind some of their creations. And we know very little about the Ultramorph and Decon variants, but I find them very interesting. And I find, of course, the engineers themselves extremely fascinating. It is believed that female engineers are very rare, and that the engineers may have lost their method of reproduction without using artificial means. So the females may in fact be created in artificial ways. Their method of reproduction may be entirely non-existent at this point or reliant completely on tech. Anyways, been your boy Dice, I'm outie.